Introducing Royal Caribbean's newest ship, Icon of the Seas, the ultimate family vacation. The ultimate 6 slides, 8 neighborhoods, 0 compromise vacation. The ultimate never done that, can't wait to do it vacation. The ultimate chillin' by a different pool every day of the week vacation. This is the Icon of vacations. Icon of the Seas, arriving in 2024. Book today. Come seek the Royal Caribbean. Ships Registry, Bahamas.
Welcome everybody to the weekly Power Ranking Show. Just 2 of us today. Just dos amigos. I am your host, DK Sizzle, Dave Clarke. I'm here with the real BK, Bob Kelly. But essentially, the two biggest cogs in the machine that is the Power Rankings, because you make them, and then I fucking host the show about them. So really, we're all we need. Even though I did offer for anyone else that wanted to come on, everyone's too busy. So here we are.
No one ever takes our offers. I feel like we have to we gotta pull them on, bro.
That's fine. I'm happy to be the underdog in the story. I'm happy.
Yeah, no, I like that.
We're gonna bring the main character energy tonight, Bobby, and we're gonna talk about the fucking probably most difficult power rankings I would guess that you've had to make so far. It's been a pretty drunk NFL season again. Like, we're gonna hit on a lot of the same themes that we do every week. There's storylines evolving. They might not be the storylines any of us expected, but they are definitely interesting narratives to follow along with. But this week, especially for the how typical it's become for the teams that were supposed to win to lose and the teams that were supposed to lose to win, for how typical that's become, this is still a very atypical weekend. So let's get right into it. I see that you have, oh my God, did I scroll all the way? No, I didn't. I was in our Discord chat. I was like, did I scroll all the way up to last week's power rankings? And then I was like, no, this is this week's. They're very different. Okay, here we go. You know what I should actually say? Last week's power rankings. Let's start there. Last week we had 10 Dolphins, which we decided on, right? We landed on the Dolphins.
Yeah, we did decide on them.
9 Giants, 8 Seahawks, 7 Titans, 6 49ers, 5 Vikings, 4 Cowboys, 3 Chiefs, 2 Bills, 1 Eagles. Now, 3 Chiefs, 2 Bills, 1 Eagles has been ever present, really, it seems like, for the last few weeks. Has it been changed? Have things happened? Listen and find out. So let's start off with a bullet right away. Number 10. Fuck these guys, the Miami Dolphins. Honestly, I was in for the Cinderella story. I was in for the Tyreek Hill and Waddle dynamic wide receiver combo. The Tua's actually playing out of his mind. All the rhetoric out of their training camp in the offseason was true. And then they stole a game last week from the Chicago Bears. Like, they stole a fucking game. I'm not saying it was their fault. There was a clear grounding call that Tua threw the ball right into the ground that wasn't called. Followed up almost immediately by a terrible Chase Claypool pass interference. He was literally hooked around the waist and pulled down on what would have been the biggest catch of the game, or the biggest throw of the game, or the biggest yards of the game. It was a game where Justin Fields showed out, like absolutely just studded all over the fucking field. And the refs took that from him. The refs took his fucking breakout game from him. And I know it's not the Dolphins' fault, but by proxy, they're just going to have to grin and bear it. And also, I'm going to use this opportunity to just talk about the fact for a second. I hope you'll indulge me. The Bears offense is like super legit. It's super legit.
So legit.
And it's like, I can't believe
we kind of knew they were, though, when they almost put up 30 on the boys, because no one puts up fucking 30 points on the Cowboys.
We talked about
no one puts up 30 points.
No one. And that defense looked a little bit susceptible. Now, It does sort of seem like maybe it wasn't just the Cowboys' like dynamic offense absolutely shredding the Bears defense. We definitely have some holes, especially since we've made some big trades. But fucking hell, can Justin Fields play? Like,
yeah, he's legit, man. His stock has gone from, like, I don't know, if you were to go 1-10, it was like a 3. Now it's 8 or 9.
I would call him. I would safely call him
right
now. Yeah, I agree. Thank you for saying that. It makes me feel like I've had a couple of weeks in a row where the losses have stung. But it's like, okay, they sting, but like, I like the direction we're going, so it's okay.
I feel like you should. So, I don't know if you listen to PM, but Big Cat says, like, listen, I want Fields in a position to win these games.
This is what I've been saying.
That's perfect.
This is what I've been saying for weeks, dude.
But we need to lose. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, I'm okay with losing as long as Fields looks,
because we have our own draft pick. I understand why he's saying
right.
And I do get that. And I do want, I would love to see that draft pick used on a guy to build a defense around, like a guy that like what you guys getting Fitzpatrick, like that's sort of a pick where you can just sort of say like we're going to build an offense around the identity of a player that comes out in the first 6 picks of the NFL draft, which I love, but I still hate watching the team lose, if that makes sense. So I think on that note, I guess let's talk about the actual power rankings. So for better or for worse, all jokes aside, the Dolphins won another game. I think too, it does look like essentially, yeah, a lot of dudes could make those plays with those weapons, but he's the one doing it, so you can't really take that from him. And the Dolphins do look better when Tua is their QB. So on the pendulum, let me ask you, on the pendulum swinging between Tua being possibly a guy that could get this done for this organization, maybe not this year, but at some point, and him definitely not being the guy, considering some of his play over last season, where are you with him?
So I'm a what have you done for me lately guy. And this year, man, Tua's stats stack up with the best of them. You can't deny what this dude is doing. Like, I know he has Hill and Waddle. I get it, man. But for you have those 2 speedy wide receivers, so you have to be accurate with these passes, because that's what makes his offense so electric. And how do you do that? You get one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the NFL. And I feel like that's what Tua's kind of solidifying himself as, right? I mean, he's like 72% completion percentage, right?
Yeah.
So he's putting up stats, man, that are legit number 1 quarterback, like top 10 quarterback stats this year. No doubt about it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I agree completely. I feel like their defense still needs a lot of work. I know they brought in Chubb, he's like a linebacker, right? Like an outside linebacker. He didn't really look like he was going to come in and make an instant impact like, say, Roquan Smith did for the Ravens. Like, Roquan Smith walked into the fucking into the Ravens linebacker core and just absolutely started fucking making plays, which is what he was doing in Chicago. Like,
kind of seemed like he was a Raven the whole time, didn't it?
Yeah, it's a similar. It's it's like if you're a guy of an organization like that, like the Bears, the Ravens, like these sort of defensive franchises. I feel like he was drafted with a certain profile in mind, and it's like you can probably make a 1-to-1 switch to Baltimore from Chicago better than you can. Like, I understand it's like we're not in the Ray Lewis Brunnerlicker era anymore, but like this is still like what these franchises' identities is and should be. So you go get a Roquan Smith in Chicago, he should be able to go play in Pittsburgh. He should be able to go play in Baltimore. He should be able to go play in these places. New England. He should be able to play in these places that like have sort of a defensive pedigree. Didn't really notice that with Chubb as much, but maybe the Bears offense, like we talked about, is just sort of legit. And like it wasn't really down to the Dolphins defense, but where do you stand on their team overall?
Yeah, I want to compare them to kind of like we did last week with the teams that were left off. And I just want to see
like the 49ers. Are you going to see the 49ers?
Well, the 49ers are on here. So,
yeah, they are.
Yeah.
But I thought that's because that to me, I think they have a similar profile.
They do. Yes, they do. But I want to. So, do you think? So, the Dolphins, right? So they have a suspect defense. You're 100% right about that. They've given up more than 30 points multiple times this year.
Yeah.
They give up more than 30 points to the Lions. So
yeah,
more than 30
I think
points
that
I'm
obviously biased, but I think the Bears would have done that to a lot of teams last weekend. But I think that they still obviously have some holes that were exploited.
Yeah, no, your offense is legit, man.
I know it's great.
we can talk about that in a minute. But Bengals Dolphins is Dolphins, right?
Yeah, it's Dolphins.
Titans Dolphins after that show out on Monday, still Dolphins, right?
Yeah, it's definitely still the Dolphins.
All right.
It's weird because I feel like the fucking Bengals like dog walked a team too, and it's still like they're so trick or treat. It's like hard to trust them because it's like, what are they going to look like next week, right?
Yeah.
So the Dolphins are like becoming weirdly trustworthy. I think is sort of where we're getting to with this conversation. Like Tua is like starting to make me like trust him a little bit more. Like the coaching staff is making me trust him a little bit more. Like there's teams on this list that I wouldn't trust as much as the Dolphins, but I understand why they're ahead in the power rankings, if that makes sense. There's also this sort of ingrained thing of like thinking the Dolphins suck because I wasn't alive in 1972. You know what I mean? Like, it's like they've just always fucking sucked. So it's this thing of like,
think of Jay Fiedler and like those huge ass ears,
and it's like, and then watching the Patriots just like use it as a practice squad game, like for 15 years and living in Massachusetts, and it's just like it's hard to believe that franchise has been turned around because like as far as cultural identity goes, like that was you're starting from scratch,
bro. And I gotta say, what a move to bring in Jeff Wilson. I have to. That's going to be one of the more underrated deadline moves.
Yeah,
to bring in a dude that's familiar with that zone run,
right?
Is just it's
yeah. You were talking a lot. You were talking a lot about that sort of zone run. Working across the NFL. We were talking about that in the Discord. It's and this thing of like the 49ers do it, the Dolphins do it, speedy dump and run guys, like kind of sort of littering your offense, and that being you don't even really need like stud blockers in those systems, right? Like you just have guys that know the scheme, get to where they need to get to, and just like make the key blocks because you're trying to read the defense with it. And it is all about having, I think, these fast as fuck boys. It's crazy how fucking fast that Dolphins offense is. It was like so painful to watch. It's like them just like light up my team, right?
Moment of the week though was McDaniel telling Fields to stop it. I love that. That was great because you listen. I've exactly what that sounded like. I feel like I've had that happen in my life where someone's like, "Stop it, hey, stop it, stop it."
I also I like the fact that and just to touch on the Bears just one more last time. I'm so sorry. I'm just excited about it. I enjoyed listening to the commentary team be like, and sneakily they have the most salary cap going into the offseason of any team. And I was like, been saying that. And then they were like, and they probably have a pretty high draft pick. They have like their second and third rounders. Like they moved on the Baltimore second rounder, but it seemed like they went and got Claypool. So let him learn the offense and we'll see. But it's Fields to me. There's going to be a theme across this podcast as there is every week when we get to the Vikings and the 49ers and the Seahawks probably. Yeah. Like these teams where it's like, I mean, you guys are good. You're legitimately good. But unless you have that dude at QB1, you're not winning shit. Like, I mean, I don't even think Matt Stafford's that dude, but he had that dude year last year. I think
Fields is that dude, man.
I think he just seems like the kind of guy that might actually be. And because like there's just and I'm not saying he is or he isn't, but I'd rather the ambiguous question leaning yes than the definitive no's that we have on some of these other teams. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, let's put it this way. So the Jets right now, who are our next team,
good segue,
if they had picked Justin Fields instead of Zach Wilson, they would be the funnest and maybe one of the top 5 teams in the NFL.
Totally.
And I don't think there's any doubt about that because their defense is legit. Sauce Gardner is legit. Although
he's fun, dude. He's fun.
Can I just say that was pass interference? I gotta say it, man. 100% that was fucking pass interference. There's no doubt about that. Still a great play. I get why they didn't call it. If you're a Bills fan, you definitely have the right to be passed. Davis should have caught the ball too.
Can we talk for a second about pass interference? Like I try to make it a rule of thumb on football shows to not talk about the officials, not talk about refereeing, because like it is subjective as fuck. Obviously, they're like across any sport you can think of. Your bias is obviously going to inform what you think of a call, right? But there are some cut and dry situations that you have to get right. And for me, the pass interference thing, it becomes nuanced because they don't explain the rule correctly. It becomes up for debate, and it becomes this back and forth. Like, oh yeah, no, they're just hand fighting. Oh well, he's holding them past the 5 yards, or it becomes this argument because they intentionally don't really tell us what it's supposed to be to let their referees off the hook a little bit more and give them a little bit more control over the game. Because the only way, I mean, you've seen in the NBA, the only way that an organization can control a game, because there's so many different factors with players and who's had a good game and who isn't, game plans. The only way they can affect it is via the referees. And I'm not saying there's some sort of grand conspiracy in the NFL, but if this rule was outlined a little bit better, we could maybe just make these calls like, there'd be a little bit more accountability, because like what happened to you got to turn around, for example, just Pora Hempla. What happened to you got to turn around and play the ball, or it's pass interference automatically? That was a thing. Now it isn't. When did that happen?
I feel like it should be a thing.
It's still technically, the thing is, it's like, it's not, it hasn't been like taken out of the rule book. It's still like in the, like on paper should be the call, but it is.
I guess that like you're reacting to the dude. So like you're not trying to interfere. You're putting your hands up to play the ball. But like, bro, if you're not turning and making a play on the ball, you're literally doing your only thing that you could do is interfere with the pass. You know what I mean? That's I don't know. But yeah, I completely agree.
I think it's just it's a rule that has made the NFL look fucking stupid in recent memory. Was it a playoff game or like a game to get a team into the playoffs where it was like, I think the Bengals were involved, where it was like the worst pass interference call right at the end of the season at the start of the playoffs?
No, it was the NFC Championship game.
Was it that big of a game?
It was the Saints and the Rams.
That's right.
Remember,
that's right. That's right.
Literally
it's all coming back to me now, and it just wasn't called right. So yeah, I think to simplify it as a rule, here would be my suggestion. And I want them to look at my cancel kickers and punters completely suggestion first. But after that, look at this to simplify it. If you touch the other guy before he begins to try to catch the ball, it's pass interference. That simple. And when I say begins to try to catch the ball, I think there's a moment. Right? There's a moment where he's like, okay, I'm running. I see it. And then that third phase of like, I'm going to catch it. His hands come up above his waist. You could, deal with the nuances of that. If you touch him before that, it's fucking pass interference. That's it. Right? No more hand fighting. Like, I don't give a shit. I understand that the cornerback position is probably the most difficult position to play in the NFL. And you're not 100%. Helping them.
That's why there's not one white cornerback in the world. But
100%, and let's keep it that way. I want to keep it a skilled position. This is the thing, and that it also goes along with the way the NFL sort of calls its rules these days. They're trying to make it more. They're trying to make it more fun, and that's going to result in more catches, and it's going to make the referees' jobs easier. And also, the booth or New York or whatever needs to just be right away. Just like they need to be able to have pass interference, and then it's like, okay, I'm sorry we didn't throw the flag, but like they said it is.
Also, I think it should be 15 yards. Not to sit here and do we need to rewrite the spot of the ball
segment. Thing is no. This is a good chat because the spot of the ball thing can change a game.
Yeah, it's too much.
It changed the Bears Dolphins game. It very clearly changed. I mean, to a lesser extent, just because of where they were, it definitely changed the Bills Jets game. I think you're right. I think 15 yards.
15 yards.
Because
do a college judge, bro.
Yeah. What's the opposing argument to that is, well, then they're always going to pass interfere with them if it's a potential to catch the ball and it's more than 15 yards.
Do you know defensive backs? Do you know cornerbacks? They're not going to do that.
Cool.
They're not going to do that.
And you can call that on a fucking case by case basis too. Like you can have that if that very obviously is a thing. Like if a guy's just clearly makes that calculation and just wraps a dude up, you call that unsportsmanlike conduct.
Yeah. And you
give him 15 yards and jump him from the fucking game.
Spot fouls are stupid. I've always thought that.
It's silly. It's absolutely silly because it's too much.
Can I bring up one other gripe too?
Please.
Holding. Bro, why the fuck is holding 10 goddamn yards? I think that's the stupidest fucking thing ever because listen, it happens on every play.
Listen.
And it's such a subjective call.
If I'm telling you right now, I've been saying this. saying this exact same thing I'm about to say.
Why the fuck isn't holding 5 yards?
Forget that, dude. Forget that. I've been saying the same thing I've been saying since I was 18.
Kills fucking drives.
I'm telling you right now. Do away with it as a penalty. No more holds.
I
don't give a shit.
Hate holding.
I don't give a shit. You know what? Here's the thing. Offensive linemen at a disadvantage. They are at a disadvantage already. They have the harder job. They have to stay inside your fucking whatever. I don't give a fuck anymore. If you want to sack the quarterback, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult. And maybe they'll hold you or whatever the fuck. But I don't care. Fucking do away with it. Just do away with it. If you want to sack the quarterback, you got to steamroll that guy in front of you. You got to fuck him up. And you got to get to the quarterback. He tries to hold you, but he can't. How many times have you seen that? Those sacks happen all the time where they're getting held, but the dude's just such a monster. He's getting to the QB. That's what's happening. There's nothing you can do about it. You can hold him. You can pull his jersey. He's getting there. That's the kind of sack I like anyway. Fucking hold him if you want. I don't give a shit. Holding for everybody. Everyone in the bar gets a hold. I agree wholeheartedly.
And it just changes games. There's too many fucking games. It just, bro.
The better team loses when those
especially with the Cowboys. I don't know. Especially with the Cowboys in my life, there have been so many games where the outcome, the momentum of the game, you feel it, bro, because you get a huge run.
And football is such momentum sport.
Bro, let's go. We're here. Holding.
Yeah.
On fucking Flozo Adams on the Cowboys.
You know what? Another one that needs to go. Block in the back. Get that out of here. Everyone can block in the back.
Isn't that safe now? It's safety issues.
Yeah, like they give a fuck. And then, like, I mean, dude, you're fucking telling me, bro. How many kick return and punt return touchdowns have you seen since Devin Hester made it a cheat code and they had to change all the rules?
Yeah.
And they were like, we're kicking off like from a different place now. And like, it's just all fucking touchbacks. And it's like, cool. Like, nobody's returning kicks anymore. I'm at the point where kick returns where I'm like, I feel like the numbers are probably, you're more likely to fumble than score a touchdown. Like, don't ever return it. Just fair catch it every single time or let it bounce.
Okay, so if we're just going off on the tangent, I'm going to give one more. Why the fuck did they change overtime so both teams get the ball and shorten it by 5 minutes? Can anyone fucking explain that to me? I don't understand. Can anyone explain to me that they're like, all right, we're going to give both teams the ball, but we need to shorten it. And then if they don't score, they tie. Like, I just never... So why the fuck are you doing that?
Here's
why the fuck did you?
I got an idea for this too. I got an idea for OT also. I think you get 15 more minutes, right? But you can't kick field goals anymore. That should be the rule.
Touchdowns.
Only touchdowns.
I fucking love it.
And it's not sudden death. It's not sudden death. It's just 15 more minutes, and whoever's up at the end. And then guess what? If you're still tied, you play 15 more minutes and nobody can kick field goals. And then if everyone's still tied, you put, sorry, someone's going to score. So like, let's fucking see. Like, let's
no extra points either. 2-point conversions.
No, just touchdowns. Six pointers. 6 pointers. That's it.
You gotta do the extra play.
All right, fuck it. Yeah, 2-point conversions then.
2-point conversions.
Because that's cool. Because then everyone has to go for 2.
It's like college football. It's like college football when you get to like the 5th overtime.
Which leads me to my larger point. Make that always the rule. No more field goals. No more punts. Just take them out of the game.
That's your initial break the ice.
Take them out of the game.
Break the ice.
4 downs. It's going to make it a higher scoring event if you do that. You're going to score more if you do that, right? It's like, think about it. 21-7 is 3-1.
But kickers do add excitement. It does.
The least athletic man on the team should not be able to decide the game. The dude who has the least amount on the day should not be able to decide the game. The guy.
Yeah, but think about the big moments, those big kicks.
Think about the big moments we didn't get. Think about the big moments we didn't get because kicks happened that are way fucking cooler.
But him missing it is still a big moment, right?
I understand, but like if you take kicks away,
listen,
how many catches did you see?
I've said this from day one. This is double doink PTSD. From that moment, you had this theory in your head. Don't pre double doink. You had a theory, and then after the double doink, you're like, it's no longer.
Don't make light of this definite improvement that would happen in the NFL if they did my rule. Think about the catches you haven't seen because they chose to punt or kick. Think about those catches that you haven't seen. That they're gone. They're lost in the ether because they had to punt or kick. Anyway, we got to talk about the fucking New York Jets.
Yeah, sorry, we can't rewrite the game of football on this podcast.
We can.
We could.
It's just a matter of if they'll listen.
We can make a better game.
Oh man, there's some rules in there. Okay, number 9, New York Jets with a big dub over the Buffalo Bills.
We're on number 9. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. We got to pick up the pace here. Okay, cool. How about them Jets, Bob?
I mean, bro, going into this week, the Jets were the first team I've ever seen 4-1 odds. And they were 6-2. Like no, or is that what they were? Yeah, 6-2. No one expected them to fucking win this game. I didn't expect them to win this fucking game. Did you think Zach Wilson was going to be able to beat Josh Allen?
Right off the bat, can I just like posit something to you, and you can either agree or talk me out of it? But like, I don't know if they won this game. I think the Bills lost this game. I know it's a little bit of a cliche, but like they didn't look like themselves. I just think if a real Buffalo Bills performance gets turned in and not whatever the fuck that was, then the Jets don't win the game.
Yeah, what was up with Josh Allen, bro?
He looked weird. And he even said it afterwards. He was like, I had a terrible game. And like, sometimes you just have a bad game. And I don't know if I'm reading any more into it than that.
Was it like we said, was it quicksand? You think it was that first pick was inexcusable?
Yeah.
Know what I mean?
I think he was like a step behind. He just looked like a little bit of a step behind. He wasn't quite 100%. Like, he wasn't anticipating things properly. He clearly wasn't reading defenses properly. He was holding the ball for too long at times, without making a move or doing something like he normally does, like just making something out of nothing and making a play happen. Like he he wasn't seeing open guys, which is super weird for him. For like any of the top 5 in the NFL QBs to have that damning shot of like Chris Collinsworth is like, let's see from behind the QB here, and then it's just like there's like 3 dudes on slant routes just wide open, and Josh Allen's like looking over to the corner of guy who's like covered by 3 dudes, and you're like, it's like the Madden view, and you're like, dude, what are you doing? Just throw it to the open guy. And I feel like my overall point, I guess, is it was more the Bills sucking than the Jets being good. Not to take anything away from the Jets, because I do think that they look like a good football team, and I really do like their defense, like you said. And maybe it's them that threw off Josh Allen, and maybe it's them that were throwing a lot of looks at him, and the Bills in general are making them look weird. Or, I mean, talk me into this big flawed Bills team. Like maybe they're just like that big flawed team that just doesn't ever really get it together, go all the way.
I don't know if you remember when we first all got together, the Bills. It was like the start of the Bills uprising from like average, mediocre. They beat the Vikings on like
I remember.
I never believed in them at the beginning,
mm-hmm.
and I just feel like that Bills team that I've always been like, listen, just bullshit things happens to them a lot. Like not a lot, but like it creeps back in every once in a while. You remember that Jags game last year when they lost like 9-6?
There's a flaw in the DNA or something.
Yeah, they're just fucking weird, man.
Like if I said to you, like if I had a time machine and we went 5 years in the future, and in 5 years, both the Bills and the Dolphins are similarly constituted, with their big players remaining the same and their coaching staffs remaining the same, but the Dolphins are clearly a better team. Would that be the craziest thing you've ever heard at this point? I don't know.
No, I'll even add in one more. And the Jets, the team that we're actually talking about, number 9, I think the Jets, if you were to add up everyone's team, because of the defense, if they can keep that together, bro, defense has a word I'm thinking. Defense sticks around for a long time. You know what I mean? When you can build a core of a defense, it's more about
personality, chopping and changing personnel around a core group of guys, and around mentality in a defensive locker room,
around like a mindset, exactly.
So and a culture, as opposed to an offense where you're like, no, you got to go get yourself some studs that like clearly make some shit happen.
If it's not Zach Wilson, if the Jets, oh Jesus Christ, if the Jets,
calling me that, I'm just a man.
If the Jets can get a quarterback that, if you were to grade a 5 to 7, if right now I say Zach Wilson's like a 3 to 4, if they were to get like a 5 to 7 guy, I feel like this team is legit, man. If you were to give me 5 years into the future of any of these teams, the Jets are a tough argument not to make, man. I got their Sauce Gardner is a generational
bashing on your mic. I can really hear you.
I'm sorry. Sauce Gardner is a generational cornerback, bro. Generational.
Yeah, he really is unbelievable. He's really so fucking good. And I think those guys, but the thing is like you said, and we've talked about this on this exact show before, it's like you can build a defense with second round and onward draft picks, and you can build a defense with like smart free agency signings and good coaching. You can't go find that quarterback that you're talking about. Like, where is that guy? Everybody wants that guy. Like, everybody wants that dude. So there's just not that many of them, you know. And there's a lot of dudes that come out of college that look like they could be.
So many.
And there's a lot of dudes that come out of college that look like they could be, you know. Like, I remember I could quote you some very serious Brady Quinn conversations that I heard in my lifetime. You know, there's guys that look like All-Americans in college that come out and that do fuck all. So you have to punt a whole year at high draft pick to go find a guy like that. Or the alternative is you, I guess, become a team where you win really close without it, and then the quarterback becomes a free agent and goes like, I could go there and win. Like, there's a team for me to plug and play, which is sort of the Tom Brady era, the new Tom Brady era move. But I don't know, like, is there a ton of movement of QBs in the NFL? Real good QBs
that works. Though.
No, I mean, like, Tom going to Tampa worked.
That's the only one, though. That's really one of the only ones I can think of. Like
Russell Wilson is a spectacular failure in Denver.
It's a horrible failure. But Favre,
I guess Peyton going to Denver.
Peyton to Denver, yeah. Favre to Minnesota was pretty
worked
good.
For like a second. Worked for like a second.
Then Brett Favre showed back up and, you know, did his
Yeah, he's
thing.
like, I'm gonna fire it in there, and it's like, dude, there's 6 people there
across my body to the other side of the field in the NFC
Yeah.
Championship.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained. I guess you fucking thieving bastard, Brett Favre.
No, I mean, I can't think of one. So it's just they got to figure out how to draft the quarterback because the last 3, Zach Wilson, they picked with the 3rd pick. Sam Darnold, they picked with the 3rd pick. Geno Smith, they picked in the 1st round.
But
listen. And then Mark Sanchez is the one before that.
They stuck around with that one for way too long.
That's 4 quarterbacks in a row that they picked in the 1st round, and just besides Geno Smith, which is just fucking crazy.
It's a great segue because I guess the sort of the finale on that is I still don't really believe in the Jets. They're one of the teams on this list that doesn't have a guy at QB1 that can win them a championship. So they were starting to get into that era of the season where they become irrelevant. And it's a nice little upstart story, but they're not winning shit with Zach Wilson. So that brings me to the fucking Seahawks and Geno Smith, who, yeah, I mean, they're still good. They're still good. He's still playing really well. It's not going to last. It's not going to last.
I don't know, man. I think it might.
He does have great receivers, and he does have a good coach. And it is sort of revealing that's a system where like a guy can come in and be really highly competent and almost above average in that system. If they
needs to take a step back.
Yeah,
he needs to take a step back and let his fucking star receivers do their thing.
Yeah,
let Ken Walker do his thing. Yeah, and this defense, it came out of fucking nowhere. You know, a
lot of good defenses this year. It's crazy.
It is, yeah, for sure. But it looks like a Seahawks team of old, is what it looks like, man. A bunch of no names that Carroll just drafted and revamped his entire defense.
You know,
that's exactly what he did for the LOB, bro. Yeah. He just revamped it in 2 drafts. Yeah, and he did it in 1 this time.
We talk a lot of shit about shitty coaches in this league, and we talk about the league as a whole of like there's like no good head coaches, and when we do the short list, and we always say like Belichick, Tomlin. Pete Carroll's a good coach, man, and he's a good designer of a football team and finding the pieces that fit into that. Like he's better at that than Bill Belichick is. He's probably not better at all the other stuff, you know, like running it when you have Marshawn Lynch, which also damaged his legacy. I think
he's probably better to hang out with. So
probably better. Yeah, I would assume he's funner at parties. But that damaged his legacy so much, that one play, that people do sort of forget that he like built that team in the first place. And they were a lot of fun. And there was just a lot of really big athletic studs on that team just fucking making plays. And they were fun to watch. What?
Do you think Russ audible?
No, I don't. I think that'd be provable.
Bro, knowing everything, I don't know. Knowing everything that I know about.
What, like in the huddle?
Not like in the huddle, but like saw it at the line and they just covered it up.
But couldn't you just look at the footage?
Yeah, that's true. You'd see it. Yeah, okay.
See him audible. I would maybe in the huddle. Maybe he says in the huddle, like, this is what we're doing. It
just seems, I don't know. It seems a very Russell Wilson thing to do nowadays. But
yeah, you're not actually. I believe it. I automatically believe it.
So I just want to compare. So if you were to ask which quarterback got traded for, what was it, 2 first-round picks this year? One quarterback A, 75% completion rate, 113.2 quarterback rating, 9 touchdowns and 2 interceptions.
One's Geno Smith and one's Russell Wilson.
Yeah. Ready? Russell Wilson, 59.4, 82.8, 4 touchdowns, 3 picks.
Wow.
So
that's right. That's terrible. That's really terrible. And he's his stock on social media is really, really low. He's just a fucking geek. So his goofy behavior on the internet is
dangerous.
Yeah, I don't get it. He might have a body buried somewhere. He's got a real personality issue online. He's like someone who just got to the internet. That's what he reminds me of. It's like someone who just learned about the internet yesterday.
He's like, wait, so everyone can see this?
Yeah,
everyone?
This is amazing. What a fun little tool. I can talk to my granddaughter and from Boca. Okay, so moving on because you're going to start speeding this up. Ravens looked like the Ravens again. I still think they got a little rickety in the fourth quarter defensively, but Lamar might be making an MVP case this year. And I think on his performances alone, and if you take away sort of the letdowns that his defense has made or some of the mistakes that have like happened across the coaching, like we've talked about, even though we both like Harbaugh a lot as a coach. Lamar himself in a vacuum, I think, has been fucking unbelievable. He's been absolutely electric. He can definitely throw the ball. And I'm sorry if that doesn't fit the narrative that like people want, but like he had his wide receiver 1 and his tight end hurt going into this game last night. And he never looked like he was going to underperform, in my opinion. So I think for me, I'm at the point where I'm calling the Ravens my like sleeper hit of the summer. I think Lamar Jackson makes like a legitimate playoff run this year that sort of defies the narrative that's been built around him. And I think it's safe to make that call now. They're number 7 on the power rankings, but I think that their actual talent and the level they can get to, most importantly, is belied by their rankings because of some of the stupid mistakes they've made. I think they have a better chance of being a top 4 power rankings team than 5 or 6 do. So if that makes any sense, because it's like I think their ceiling is a little higher.
Yeah, at their best, they're probably better.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
They're probably better than 5 or 6. I agree.
Because 5 is the Vikings. Spoiler alert: 5 is the Vikings,
and 6 is the Niners.
6 is the Niners.
Yep.
And I think we know what those teams are. And I think if you look at, so to read it off what we've done, what I've revealed so far: 5 Vikings, 6 49ers, 7 Ravens, 8 Seahawks, 9 Jets, 10 Dolphins. Of all of those teams, I'm picking the Ravens to have the highest probability of success in the playoffs. To me, none of the other teams I just mentioned are legitimate playoff contenders to do anything really significant, like go to a championship game. Never mind go to a championship game and win it. I can see the Ravens doing that. There's pedigree for championship experience in the coaching. Everyone seems to be reading off the same hymn sheet. That coach loves his fucking quarterback, loves his quarterback.
Loves
the quarterback
loves him, bro.
Yeah. And he loves him like Coach Taylor, like Friday Night Lights, like that. Yeah. He's at my house for dinner like 4 nights a week. And I love him with all my heart. And we're going to go win a fucking championship. There's something crackling there for me when you watch Baltimore. What do you think?
It's sometimes it's to a fault because he trusts him too fucking much. He's like, "Hey, Lamar, you want to go for it?"
Trust your QB,
I want to go for it. He's like, "I don't fucking go for it, bro." Like,
I love that about them, though.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Listen, I think the moment Lamar walked into that building, Harbaugh saw him play like 4 downs, and it was like, yeah, no, we're gonna change.
He was like, I can teach him how to throw.
Bro.
Look at all the other shit he can do.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Lamar just turned Isaiah Likely into a star tight end. To me, I think this has been a theme that we've had almost every single show that we've had so far, is that Lamar is legit, man. And
super legit.
And I called him out as
I think if you're saying that he isn't at this point, you're like officially just a Lamar hater, and you're just going to be like that.
Yeah, agreed.
Like that's just the way it is.
Because, listen, he does it with his legs. He does it with his arm. And when it comes down to it, yeah, his coach puts him and he puts himself into positions to lose the game at the end because they're just trying to win. But, like, I trust the Ravens and Lamar week in and week out with my own money more than I do most teams in the NFL. So I think that goes a long way for saying how they are. You know what I mean? If I trust my own hard-earned money, I trust you. There's not many teams I trust anymore.
Yeah. And I'll also make this point. I'm always fucking on you about the strength of schedule factoring into these power rankings. And quite frankly, if you look at who the Ravens have played, compared to, I'll just do it right now. The Philadelphia Eagles are obviously still at number 1. Again, spoiler alert. But if we compare their strength of schedule, I think it will reveal quite a lot. So let's just do that real quick. Because the Ravens have beaten the Jets, who are on this power rankings, right? They beat them 24-9. They lost to the Dolphins, but the Dolphins are also on this power rankings. So that's a top 10 team that they lost to.
It was a crazy game, too.
And it was a crazy game. And, 42-38 was a shootout. They could have won had they, not blown the fucking fourth quarter, whatever. They beat the Patriots, who I would say are probably thereabouts. I don't think...
the Patriots, bro.
Yeah, they're the Patriots.
Right.
There you go. I mean, they're probably not below top 15.
Tough to beat every week, though.
Yeah, of course. That's still a statement win. They lost to the Bills, who are on this power rankings, obviously, and a fucking wagon. We've talked about them already. So no shame in that. Beat the Bengals, who are probably our number 11 right now, as we've discussed. This is the top 10 power rankings, but they probably lost to the number 11 team. Oh, I'm sorry, they beat the Bengals. So they probably beat the number 11 team. They lost to the Giants, who have been thereabouts on this power rankings, but obviously, they struggled a little bit in recent years, but they're probably 12, right? So they're still a top 15 team, right?
They actually might be 11.
They beat the Browns, who probably are nowhere near this top 15, but that's the first team we've come to. They're not a top 15 team, as we've discussed it.
Browns are a little frisky, though.
Yeah, they could be frisky. They beat the Bucks, who I would still definitely consider a top 15 team, maybe 13. I'd say they're probably 13 if we're talking about Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. And they just beat the Saints, who are probably one of the worst teams in the NFL. But, you play who's in front of you. So that's two teams.
The Saints were number 10 week 1. I mean,
right. I mean, they're definitely not. They're awful. But they're 6-3, right? And they lost to three good teams. And those 6 wins, they've beaten 6 relatively good teams with a couple of maybe exceptions, right? That strength of schedule tells me they're fucking legit. Now, you take the Philadelphia Eagles, right? And I gotta have Clarke cut this part out because I should.
Yeah, whatever.
You take the Philadelphia Eagles and their strength of schedule to beat the Lions. Everybody beats the Lions. They beat the Vikings, which I guess is impressive, but we all know they're fucking phonies. They beat the Commanders, who everybody beats. They beat the Jaguars, who everybody beats. And can I also just point out they barely beat the Lions. They barely beat the Lions. They beat the Jags by 8 points, which could be better for the number 1 team in the NFL. They barely beat the Cardinals, who everybody beats. They beat the Cowboys. That's a respectable win. That's fair. They beat the Steelers, who everybody beats this year. They beat the Texans, who everybody beats this year. So, just on strength of schedule, the 7th team on the power rankings has had a much harder fucking road of it than the 1 team. That's just true. So, I'm not saying that to take anything away from the Eagles. I'm going to do that later. I'm saying give the Ravens a little bit more credit.
I played devil's advocate for this year, though.
Yes, yeah, totally.
Listen, I don't think it fucking matters who you play this year, bro. This year specifically, I've never seen more teams that are fucking 1-7 competing with a team that's like 6-2.
Yeah,
this year is fucking wild.
Sure,
but I feel like everyone counts, but at the same time, that was a very good point.
I mean, I'm just saying, as far as just heat makes swords, it's you gotta be sharpened by these very good teams that you're playing. And I think that's happening to the Ravens a little bit more than it's happening to the Eagles. And in the second half of an NFL season, it's a little bit more about grit than it is about skill.
And I think the Roquan Smith move was so big, man, because
he's a stud.
Listen, you bring him in and it makes Justin Houston, who is maybe the most underrated linebacker ever. Like, he's top 5 in sacks all time. Makes him fucking unstoppable this past Sunday, bro. He was unbelievable.
Right.
Because they couldn't contend with Houston and fucking Roquan Smith.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to do that. So the Ravens, man, they're legit. That's why they're back on this rankings. I still question Harbaugh. I know he loves Lamar, and I know he puts his faith in that. I get it.
He's a good coach, though, Bob. I mean, he's a good coach.
Is he? You sure? Okay. What has he won? What has he won? That's what I always go back with it. Like, what has he actually done? Yes, he's been very consistent. Oh, he did win that Super Bowl. My bad. He won a Super Bowl. My bad. Shut the fuck up.
I mean, look, he played a guy who looks very similar to him.
The lights went out. The lights went out. So did mine. Okay.
Honestly, I sometimes do remember the 49ers winning that Super Bowl, strangely, but because I think I really expected them to that year. All right, moving on to said team, the San Francisco 49ers.
The Ravens did win a Super Bowl, so
yeah,
I'll shut the fuck up.
I mean, we already said that on the show. He's a proven.
Doesn't he have 2? Doesn't he have fucking 2?
No.
Is it just 1? Yeah, it's 1. Okay, it's
fine. And with the Flacco year, it's just the Flacco year. He might have 2 this year, though, is what I'm saying. That's been my whole point. All right, so moving on to the 49ers, we're going to do 2 minutes on them because, quite frankly, the needle hasn't moved on them. They still are who they are. Their defense is pretty solid. Jimmy G can make great underneath passes, and if he tries to throw the deep ball, which he does all the time, which I don't get, it always goes fucking haywire. They were able to beat their toughest divisional matchup in the Rams in the first time they met, and they looked like they executed a really good game plan. And now I think losing to the Rams in the way that they did, that's more damning because I don't think the Rams are very good. So
the Rams are garbage.
To lose to them, I know it's a divisional game and sort of it's, you're going to beat each other up a little bit, but that made me kind of take pause on the 49ers and Jimmy G, especially them losing in the fashion they lost. What do you think I guess the question I'll ask you is, do you see upward mobility coming for the 49ers in the power rankings? Do you see them hitting 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1? Or do you see them sliding more in the 7, 8, 9, 10 direction?
I think they're right where they're supposed to be. I don't think they're going anywhere, to be honest. I think they're going to stay right in that middle pack, man. This team is what you said, exactly what you said. The way I can see them taking a step up is if Christian McCaffrey gets 25 to 30 touches a game.
Obviously, that's a huge upside
hurt
for them, but it's the injury thing that freaks me out there.
100%, completely agree. But if he's healthy and he's getting, it's possible he could have 200 all-purpose yards every game the rest of the season if he's healthy.
I know,
right?
It actually is.
Because with Jimmy G, bro, he's the perfect fucking running back for Jimmy G.
Why?
Because Jimmy G drops
you're not
back,
asking
like,
Jimmy G to you're not asking Jimmy G to fucking win you a game. That's why you're asking Christian McCaffrey to do it. But yeah, I mean, I think I would hope they don't have the hubris to not do this. But the way that Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill, I know that Tyreek Hill being a wide receiver and Christian McCaffrey being a running back, is he really a running back though? Like, he's just an offensive player to me. Like, that's how you got to use him. And I think how Pat Mahomes and Tyreek Hill used to hook up is the model that you should be basing your entire Christian McCaffrey, Jimmy G hookup. I know he's not Pat Mahomes, but he can make those dump off passes. He can make those underneath throws. And if they start to make that happen and let Christian McCaffrey run downhill, and you kind of have to take your balls in your hands a little bit and just hope he doesn't get hurt.
Well, we haven't even seen Debo and McCaffrey healthy together either.
That's true. I mean, they have a lot of weapons, man.
They
I like Ayuk. I like Debo. I like Christian McCaffrey, obviously. Yeah, they have a lot of weapons.
They literally
Jimmy G better not fuck this up.
Well, they literally found the two weapons that are perfect for Jimmy G, because Jimmy G doesn't need to throw it more than 15 yards for the rest of the season. It should just be slants. It should just be outs.
He shouldn't throw it more than 15 yards for the rest of his career.
There we go. Even better.
His deep balls are so bad. Anyway. We're not doing a Vikings segment because I'm just like,
you don't want to talk about Kirk Cousins pimping out on the fucking plane at 2:30 in the afternoon.
No, because what we've decided already about the Vikings is that I heard somebody say on a different podcast that shall not be mentioned that he was like, yeah, I got a buddy in Minnesota. I was like, it's weird, the Vikings, right? They're winning all these games, but like, I don't really believe that they're going to do anything. And the Minnesota Vikings fan was like, yeah, nobody in Minnesota is excited. They all know. They all know that they're going to fucking end up sucking and Kirk Cousins is going to fail in prime time. Like, everybody knows. So since everybody knows, and we've had this conversation every week for the past 4 weeks, I don't think the Vikings deserve any more airtime. That end is nigh. And, hit me in the comment section if you're that mad about it. You're in Minnesota. You're probably mad about everything. So moving on, what we're going to do, fun little game that we always do, because we also have another little surprise to fit in at the end of this show. We have been taking 3, 2, and 1 and doing a little segment about them.
It's 4 now.
Oh, we're going to go 4 now because the Bills have dropped down to 4. The Cowboys are now in 3rd. Chiefs are 2 and the Eagles are 1.
Can we just make that note? I know we're running long on time.
No, we're fine.
The Cowboys jumped the Bills. Okay. That's pretty notable, no?
I mean, okay. Some caveats. The power rankings are made by a Cowboys fan. The Cowboys did not play.
I try and take that into a negative effect, though. The Cowboys.
The Cowboys didn't play, and the Bills lost the game to the
Jets.
So the Cowboys didn't jump the Bills. The Bills fell behind the Cowboys. So it's another reason why, since the Cowboys didn't play. No. I mean, I think the Cowboys have earned their spot. I think if you make the spot, you've earned your spot. I think if there's an argument to be made for you being at that spot, then that's all that matters. What I think we're going to see actually happen right now in real time when we play our little game is 4, 3, 2, and 1, Bills, Cowboys, Chiefs, Eagles, right? What we have there is we got 2 NFC teams now, and we got 2 AFC teams that make up the top 4.
I like it.
So I'm going to ask you this question. Bills, Chiefs, you flip-flopped. I think you're 2 Bills, 2 Chiefs on the last 4 weeks of us doing this. You picked the Bills twice. You picked the Chiefs twice. I've been consistently Chiefs. That has not changed, just to spoil that part of the segment, because you got to put some respect on Pat Mahomes, man. Like, Josh Allen needs to win something to be in sort of any sort of conversation where there's a debate about their rivalry. That's just it. So Bills play the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. Who do you have more faith in this week to go to the Super Bowl?
I think the Chiefs. I think I'm back to the Chiefs because
Okay.
this week
Welcome
I had this thought in my head, bro, that if you took Pat Mahomes, right, and you took his weapon, you took his security blanket, you took his big play guy away from him, and he's still fucking Pat Mahomes.
Yeah.
If you take Stephon Diggs away from Josh Allen, is he still fucking Josh Allen?
No.
What do you think? No, right?
I think so.
I think he has more of a.
But that's been my whole point about the
Yeah.
Mahomes, Allen, and the Chiefs Bills like debate. Like
I still don't trust him like I used to. It's still not when they're down like
man.
24 to nothing.
To see how he got Juju Smith-Schuster into that offense by basically being like, you got to play different. Like, and Juju did it, and he's having better games.
What you doing? Change it.
Change it. Dude, do something else. I don't like what you're doing. And he's Pat Mahomes, so he can do that. And him being able to do that and him being able to kind of reconstruct this offense around himself again and make it a different identity, but still just as effective. They can still drop 21 points on you before you know what happened. I think that's another piece to the puzzle that is like, why are we talking about Josh Allen in the same way we're talking about Pat Mahomes? Like it's not, he hasn't earned that. I'm not saying he won't, but I mean, Pat Mahomes is still on track to be top 3 at least all time. Like that's where we're going. So I understand the narratives need to exist, but
I know I like waver back and forth on this. I just love having both of them and be like, well, he's better. He's better.
No, it's great. That's what we do here.
Mahomes is so underrated with his legs that like, because he doesn't use it. He doesn't do it unless he has to because that whole like kneecap dislocation thing.
Right.
But Josh Allen is like, he is his running ability. You know what I mean? Without his running ability, I don't think Josh Allen is his arm's amazing, but I don't think he'd be able to read offenses and do it like Mahomes does.
Right.
And Mahomes uses his legs as a luxury when he has to.
Yeah.
And when he does, he's effective with it. So it's just, I feel like that's where it kind of tips the favors in Mahomes a little bit.
To me, the reason why Tom Brady became the greatest quarterback of all time, why he won the stuff he won, for people to say that, is because he was the best decision maker I've ever seen. Like sometimes he was in situations where there was no good decision, but he would always choose the best bad decision. And sometimes he was in situations where he had to make a series of amazing decisions and he would do it every time. Almost every time. It was tough to bet against him. I see that in Pat Mahomes almost to the same degree. Almost. It hasn't been fully proven yet. Obviously, hasn't been in all the same situations, but it's that plus incredible athleticism and unbelievable ability to throw the ball and weapons fucking everywhere. So and they both had really good coaches. So I think, to me, if we talk about trust, if that's the theme of the day, like there's nobody I trust to win me a football game more than Pat Mahomes right now, and the Kansas City Chiefs in general, because Travis Kelce's also a fucking beast, and a lot of the guys that they have on that team are great. Maybe their defense is a little suspect. Like maybe you can make some yards on the ground on them, but like I'm still taking them in an AFC Championship situation right now because of the Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen debate we just had. Now, to get to the really interesting one, we have an NFC champ. So we're sending the Chiefs to the Super Bowl right now in this scenario. Now, who are they going to face?
What a championship weekend this would be.
Probably the championship week.
The best ever. Would this be the best championship weekend ever?
Chiefs,
Bills, Cowboys, Eagles.
I really do believe in the Ravens. But yeah, so say this is the championship weekend as of right now. The Cowboys and the Eagles, I don't even know if it can happen. I haven't looked at like the seeding and like how all that shit works. But what does it look like if the Cowboys get to an NFC Championship game, considering the recent, not even entirely recent.
What it looks like is me with a huge boner. Is what it looks like. But
so it's a horrible sight. No, I mean, listen. First of all, they have to win. They have to win.
Do you know I've never seen an NFC Championship game?
Yeah, I know. I've watched the Cowboys too. They haven't made one
since I've been a fucking fan. I've never seen it.
But say so they have to overcome a lot of history, and they have to come up against a team that, I don't know, probably won't have lost that many games at this point. At that point, because they don't even really play anybody good. So they are both in the NFC Championship game. Try and take your bias out of it. Who are you sending to the Super Bowl? Seriously, and it's in an AFC Championship situation. You have to have the context here. Everyone's healthy. What do you got?
What's scary is it's in Philly. It's going to be in Philly. And a Philly crowd with a championship on the line
against the Cowboys
is a different level.
Yeah, right.
But it's still the fucking Cowboys. This defense with that much on the line, I feel like will give Hurts trouble. What really scares me about the Eagles, though, is that run game, bro. Because we saw what the Bears just did to the Cowboys 2 weeks ago.
I mean, we do have the most running yards in the entire NFL.
It's the same, bro. It's the same fucking offense. Same thing. It's Jalen Hurts and Justin Fields. They're the same type of quarterback. They're both, a little shaky with the pass sometimes. But when they get outside with their legs, they get into playmaking situations. They're fucking unbelievable. And then you have running backs who are dangerous. So the Eagles are dangerous, bro, especially to this Cowboys defense. So listen, my heart says Cowboys. I really see the Cowboys shutting Hurts down. But if Hurts takes that next step into the playoffs, I would have trouble making this call on championship weekend. If Eagles get to the NFC Championship, that means Hurts played well in a playoff game, and this offense played well in a playoff game. You know what I mean?
That's also true of the Cowboys, though. I'll tell you something.
That's true.
So who are you sending? So wait, who's going? Cowboys.
I'm sending the Cowboys.
All right. I'm sending the Eagles, and I'll tell you why. It's not a personnel thing or a talent thing, football player-wise. It's not the history of the Cowboys as much as you might think it's that. It's a little bit the context and the idea of them being in an NFC Championship game and how much I trust, like you said, like Jalen Hurts has played well to get there, like that kind of stuff. It's about 15% that. And the rest of it, unfortunately, Bob, is Mike McCarthy. It's to me, it's just true. Like I'm looking at I'm picturing Mike McCarthy in an NFC Championship game on the sidelines, just thinking up ways to fuck it up. Like just thinking up ways to fuck
one
it
of
up.
Those.
Yeah. And I can
motion.
see it. Like I can see him making really bad decisions in an NFC Championship game that lose you that game. But I can also see him doing it sooner and you guys not even getting that far.
Does it change your opinion at all if we add OBJ?
I don't see him. His leg is really fucked. I don't know. You guys do need another receiver, but no, it doesn't because, like I said, it's not a personnel issue. It's a coaching staff issue.
Strictly McCarthy.
Pretty much. Yeah, I mean, your whole coaching staff, pretty much. I just don't trust them. If trust has been the theme, that's pretty much where I am. So in the Super Bowl, you got the Cowboys, I got the Eagles, but we both got the Chiefs. Who is winning the Super Bowl?
Cowboys Chiefs would be a fun ass Super Bowl
for Chiefs fans.
Yeah, I'd pick the Chiefs. I mean,
I hear you. I'm sorry.
I do think I listen. I don't think we've seen this. I don't even think we've seen the best Cowboys yet. That's why I'm really high on this team because like their offense is just getting going. Pollard is just getting going. Zeke still sucks. But I feel like the Cowboys offense only has up to go. So I feel like they give them a game. But yeah, I'd pick the Chiefs. So the only thing that gives me a little bit of solace and a little more confidence is the Bucs beat the Chiefs rushing 4 and putting that pressure on Mahomes. And that's what the Cowboys can do. That's what they're built to do. Is shut down a quarterback literally with 4 to 5 guys at most.
Yeah.
So that's what gives me a little solace and a little confidence about it. But yeah, it beats the Chiefs.
So you heard it here first, folks. Bobby's high on the Cowboys. I'm just high. And nobody for the 9th week running has any faith in the number 1 team in the power rankings to win a Super Bowl still. I'll let you know when it changes, but we play this fun game every week where we try and figure out if we think they're going to win a fucking ring. And the answer has not been yes from anyone one time. So that won't do it for us because we've actually come up with a little bonus segment at the end of the Power Ranking show. As Bobby and I are both fucking degenerate gamblers, we have come up with a couple of fun little parlays for you guys to put on. We fancy ourselves bettors and we do okay. So if you guys want to track our bets,
we do it very differently.
We both bet very differently for sure. I don't even really believe in the parlay as a method, but it is fun. As always, please gamble responsibly. If you have any issues with addiction, you or someone you know, go to begambleaware.org. And definitely go to a meeting because we don't want you to spend any money that you don't have. We don't want this to negatively affect your life, but it can be fun if you do it right. So without any further gilding of the lily and no more ado, I move on to the Dave and Bobby Parlays segment. And next week, I'll have thought of a better name for you. So, Bobby, this is just a fucking trial run here. Bobby, why don't you go first? Tell us, you had 2 NFL parlays, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Bobby's got 2 NFL parlays, and I've got 1 NFL parlay, and then a 1 little mystery box one with some other stuff going on around the weekend. So why don't you do yours first, Bobby, then I'll do one, then you do one, then I'll do my last one, and then we'll call it a day.
Sounds great. So first, before we get into it, I just want to announce that I did hit a fucking 8-leg parlay this past week.
Oh, wow.
Best betting hit of my entire life.
Oh, wow. Stunning.
Tom Brady almost fucking killed me. Literally almost killed me dead in my seat.
Right.
But he came through.
8-leg parlay. Look at you. Look at you. All right, there's his credentials.
Yeah. So my first one is a 4-leg underdog parlay. This is how I roll. I like to bet small, win big. Low risk, high reward. So I got the Seahawks over the Bucks. We saw what the Bucks were this past weekend. I think the Seahawks are legit. Vikings over the Bills. Only reason, it's low risk. Remember that. Kings over the Bills is they're 7-1. It's a see if you're legit time, and it's at 1 p.m. Kirk Cousins, 1 p.m. Kirk Cousins is the Superman. Broncos over the Titans. I don't really know if I believe in this Titans team. They look really good against AFC South teams. Look kind of crappy against other teams. We don't know if Tannehill will be back. Broncos, let's ride. And Chargers over the Niners. Herbert is Herbert. You were predicting him to be MVP at the beginning of this season. So who's to say he can't go in and beat San Francisco?
He's not going to be, though. He's not.
But he can still beat San Francisco this week.
All his receivers are hurt.
It's 400 to 1. That parlay right there would be 400 to 1.
So you bet $1, win $1 million.
$5 to win $250.
Wow,
so
that'd be a great day.
It'd
be a great day. Okay, I play it a little differently just to see the sort of contrast in our styles here. I have a 3-leg parlay, and I like to bet in units of $10. So I got 5 units on this. The Chicago Bears money line against the Lions, which is at -150. I think the lines look very gettable. I think the Bears are on a hit streak. I think they're if they kind of come into their stride. I think people score a lot of points on the Dolphins, and the Bears are scoring a lot of points. So that's -150. I got the Giants over the Texans because I think that's a gimme, and so does Vegas. That's -210. So the Texans are awful. The Giants are not. The Giants need to win this game to sort of stay in the conversation. As you heard, they weren't in the conversation tonight in the power rankings. And then I got the under Seahawks Bucks because I think if the Buccaneers win games, they win low scoring games, and I think the Bucks are going to win, but I'm not that confident. So I took the under 44.5 at -110. $50 bet on those 3, I think, likely scenarios, unlike the fucking pie in the sky shit you heard from Bobby, for $50 gets you $184.85. So that's my NFL parlay. Now listen, you want to be like Bob and go in all guns blazing. Power to you. More power to you. You're only throwing $5 on it. What's the big deal? But yeah, moving on. What's your second fun parlay there, Bob?
So my second one is actually just for the. So actually, it depends. I'll throw it out to you. So I have another bananas one, or I have another one that's a little safer.
Do the bananas one.
You want the bananas
Do both.
one?
Just tell me both of them.
All right. So I have an 8-leg parlay. This is $5 to win $1,000.
Wow, that'd be a great day.
Yeah. So Falcons -3 over the Panthers. Bears -3 over the Lions. Saints -2.5 over the Steelers. Dolphins -3.5 over the Browns. Bills -4.5 over the Vikings. Titans -3 over the Broncos. Cowboys -5 over the Packers. Chargers +7 to round it out Sunday night over the 49ers.
I actually don't hate that. I think there's a lot of smart bets in there because you told me the other one that you're about to tell the listeners, and I was like, that is not hitting. Because you told me that before the show, and I was like, no fucking chance. But
that was the one I just said. Yeah, that's not bad, right?
That's good.
Because if you look down that list, all those teams are pretty much should win those games.
Sometimes there's no upset weeks. Sometimes that happens. Not this season in the NFL, but sometimes it happens. All right. Well, tell me the other one.
So this is just for Thursday night. Cordell Patterson to score 2 touchdowns. and the Falcons to cover alternate spread of a touchdown, 6.5.
It would be good for you if Cordell Patterson scored those 2 touchdowns because
It
not
would
only are we playing each other in fantasy this week, you would not trade me him.
8-1, baby.
And your reasoning for not trading me him was, I mean, I think I'm doing okay. So that made you my mortal enemy in fantasy football. So I really hope I beat you this week. Although your team is a wagon, but I've done a little bit of restructuring. All right, to round this out with my last parlay, it is a non-football one and 2 of the 3 legs. At the football portion, I do have the Panthers plus 130 over the Falcons. It's a little bit of a punt. I'm not really sure who's going to win that game because I don't think either team is good. But I have seen the Panthers play really well more recently. So I think you kind of betting the odds and not the team in that situation. And I just liked them at plus 130. Liverpool beating Southampton. They haven't been great in the Premier League this year, but it's kind of a must-win game. And Southampton are terrible. And this is the last game. I believe this is the last Premier League game before we break for the World Cup. So I think they want to, put on a show. That's why it's minus 400, but that's why we're parlaying. And then my only lock of this entire sports weekend coming up. And let me tell you, this is a fucking lock. This is a lock and key on a chastity belt on a fucking maiden in medieval times. This is locked. All right. Just bet this on its own if you want. Dustin Poirier's fighting Michael Chandler. It's like the 3rd to last fight on the Israel Adesanya card this coming Saturday. I bet that it doesn't go the distance. And the reason why I bet that it isn't going to go the distance is because it fucking isn't. So put it in a parlay, bet it on its own, bet your fucking rent on it. That fight's not going the distance.
What's the odds on it?
Let me look here. It's pretty good odds for the fact that I know it's not happening. It's minus 220 to not go the distance.
That's pretty good.
Pretty long odds on a, the most fights go the distance. Like most fights do. And it's only 3 rounds. So that's what's affecting it a little bit. But it doesn't matter.
So most fights go the distance and it's minus 220.
I would say, okay, so like in boxing, way more likely to go the distance, right, than in MMA.
Right, of course.
And I don't have the exact stats in front of me, but in MMA you have 3-round fights. So a lot of those fights go the distance, right? A lot of the fights in the women's division go the distance because they don't, and this isn't a misogynistic statement, this is just true.
As much power.
They're not knocking people out. Right.
And
there's a lot of them that like cancel each other out. A lot of talent in those divisions, but whatever. But I would say like as you go up in weight classes, the likelihood of it going the distance decreases. So the heavyweights are always knocking each other out because they got those fucking tiny gloves.
It's like 250-pound dudes fucking rocking each other.
It's one of the best things that can happen on a card. You're just like kind of spacing out on like a Saturday watching the early prelims, and then 2 fucking behemoths come out. You're like, someone's getting knocked out, and it's
let's go.
So that's a lot of fun. I love doing that on a Saturday. But yeah, that's the lock. And that was the Power Ranking Show, everybody, with a little sousant of degenerate gambling at the end. Always fun, and we'll definitely see you next week. Thank you so much for listening. For myself, DK Sizzle, and the real BK, Bob Kelly. We'll see you next week.
Welcome to Ringside with Ray and Prince. My name is Ray Leonard Jr.
Oh, that's his dad? No, that's just my dad.
My name is Prince Daniels Jr.
Daniels again with a big home touchdown.
On this show, we come to humanize
Athletes, entertainers, business executives. We're going to see what makes them tick.
Tuesdays, 10 a.m. Pacific time on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and wherever you get your podcasts.
We'll see you there. Peace and power.
Electric acid. Step inside the marketing mirror to uncover marketing secrets, discover gems, tactics, lessons, and campaigns you can use, next gen or fundamentals. Grab the marketing magic to improve your marketing and win more business. Electric acid. Electric acid.